Good evening and welcome to the Major Report. My name is Olushola Egbodofo. On the news tonight, President Tinubu may restore Fubara Rivers lawmakers this month. About the Polytechnic students protest renaming of institution. And on the foreign scene, Iran declines visit to bomb sites by UN nuclear watchdog. Nigerians have called on stakeholders in the country's democratic dispensation to ensure that opposition is not silenced, as it is the pillar for sustenance of civil rule. The call was made by speakers at the Thanksgiving service organized as part of activities to mark the 40th birthday of the Speaker, Osun State House of Assembly, Honorable Adewale Egbedun. Parliamentary reporter Oluwatosin Oladokun completes the story.
Celebration and reflection as dignitaries from all walks of life converge on Ebenezer African Church Ashi for a special Thanksgiving service in honor of the Speaker, Osun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Adewale Egbedun, marking its 40th birthday anniversary. The atmosphere was charged with praise and appreciation to as eminent personalities, including former governor of Osun State, Prince Olagunsoye Oyinlola, members of the Osun State House Assembly, and members of the state's Executive Council, as well as royal fathers, graced the occasion. The Thanksgiving service began with the first Bible lesson taken from the book of Psalms and read by the celebrant himself, Right Honorable Adewale Egbedun. Delivering his sermon, Bishop Adeyemi emphasized the vital role of opposition voices in sustaining Nigeria's democracy. He urged the stakeholders in the country to ensure the opposition is not silenced, calling it a crucial pillar in a democratic structure. He went further to congratulate the Speaker, Right Honorable Adewale Egbedun, describing him as a worthy ambassador of Osun State constituency and called for the continued, unblemished support for his political journey. In his remarks, the celebrant expressed his heartfelt gratitude to God for what he described as exceptional divine love in his life. Right Honorable Adewale Egbedun also extended his appreciation to Governor Ademola Adeleke, Yelu Amudupe Adeleke's son, Chief of Staff to the Governor, Alhaji Kasim Akinle, his colleagues in the state parliament, as well as well-wishers from all walks of life for joining him to celebrate his milestone. Thanksgiving service was followed reception at a top event center in Osogbo, where the celebration continued to full in spring. Leading the harries of the guests was the governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, including the First Lady, Chief Titi Adeleke, Yelu Amudupe Sonny Adeleke, who arrived in accompany of the political associates, technocrats, captains of the industry, and members of the celebrant family. The governor, while conducting the cutting of a beautifully crafted 40th birthday cake, described the Speaker as his beloved son. Encomiums and heartfelt tribute took the center stage at the occasion as the guests lauded the celebrants.
I thank you for your support, and I thank you for being a diligent, hardworking, and straightforward individual.
The atmosphere was further lifted by the soul colorful performance of a famous gospel musician, evangelist Yinka Ayefele, who kept the audience entertained with his signature melodies. Oluwatosin Oladokun, OSBC News.
President Bola Tinubu is reportedly preparing to reinstate the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, and the Rivers State House of Assembly later this month. This follows the successful brokening of a truce between Fubara and his predecessor, current Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Presidency sources told newsmen that President Tinubu is considering Fubara's return to office after a closed-door reconciliation meeting held at the presidential villa in Abuja. The meeting was attended by both Fubara and Wike, alongside the suspended Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amakwile, and several lawmakers. The Rivers State political crisis escalated in March this year when the president declared a state of emergency in the oil-rich state, suspending Governor Fubara, his deputy, and all members of the State House of Assembly for 6 months. The roots of the crisis trace back to October 2023, when a power struggle erupted between Fubara and Wike, his political mentor turned rival, over control of Rivers State's political structures. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has formally announced the establishment of a diplomatic relations with St. Lucia, describing it as a symbolic bridge that will provide a gateway in fostering closer ties between the two countries. President Tinubu said this while addressing a special joint session of the Senate and House of Assembly of St. Lucia at the William Jefferson Clinton Ballroom in St. Lucia. The president proposed creating a joint commission or political consultation agreement as a mechanism for structured cooperation between Nigeria and the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. He also announced that he would offer full scholarships to students from the OES to promote cultural understanding, further strengthening the bonds between Nigeria and the Eastern Caribbean states. The Nigerian leader, who delivered his address in the presence of leaders from the OECS, emphasized the deep historical and cultural bonds between Nigeria and the OECS and called for greater people-to-people management. President Tinubu declared Nigerians' openness to visa waivers for OECS diplomatic and official passport holders and urged reciprocal gestures to facilitate smoother official travel and closer institutional cooperation, reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to deepening ties with the diplomatic relations with St. Lucia and Caribbean nations anchored in shared African heritage and Pan-African ideals, as he advocated enhanced trade and investment partnerships, especially in agriculture, manufacturing, and services that will position Nigeria as a supplier and destination for the African export. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has reduced the ex-depot price of premium neutral spirit to 840 naira per litre, representing a 40 naira drop from its previous rate of 880 naira. The price cut comes amid concerns over rising pump prices and ahead of a planned nationwide distribution rollout scheduled for August. The announcement was made by Anthony Chijina, Chief Corporate Communications Officer of the Dangote Group. The reduction follows the global drop in oil prices, with Brent crude declining by 1.54% from $68.67 in June 2023 to $67.61. The price adjustment comes days after the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited raised petrol prices to 925 naira per litre at some of its Lagos retail stations, while it had earlier increased prices from 915 naira just 2 days prior. In preparation for its national rollout, Dangote Refinery says it has acquired 4,000 compressed natural gas powered tankers to facilitate fuel distribution across Nigeria, as it plans to supply petrol and diesel directly to retail stations, manufacturers, telecommunications companies, aviation operators, and other major users without additional logistics charges. The United Nations agencies in Nigeria have emphasized the need for greater investment in the development of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises to drive inclusive economic growth in the country. The call was made during the commemoration of the 2025 International MSMES Day, jointly organized by the UN Industrial Development Organization, International Labour Organization, UN Development Programme, UN Information Center, and the World Intellectual Property Organization in Abuja. The Director, UNEDO Sub-Regional Office, Mr. Philbert Johnson, represented by National Program Officer, Mr. Reuben Bamdele, said MES play an important role in nation building and must be supported to grow sustainably. Hilo Country Director, Dr. Vanessa Fala, emphasized by the Stephen Agogwa, said the ILO remains committed to supporting job creation through MSMES. Despite the Ministry of Power's promise that President Bola Tinubu will soon meet with power generation companies to discuss the 4.7 trillion naira debt owed to them, there has been a deafening silence with no communication extended to the just post nearly 2 months later. Last month, the federal government said that it planned to pay 2 trillion naira of the 4.7 trillion naira debit before the end of the next quarter, according to the special advisor to the president on energy, Olu Vejian. However, despite all the promises, the Gencos told newsmen that the federal government has yet to contact them for any discussion about payments or how to see the president. But the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, through his media aide, Olaji Tunji, discussed that efforts were still ongoing to arrange a meeting between the generation companies and the president. Speaking on the matter, the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Power Generation Companies, Joy Gaji, confirmed that the association had yet to hear from the federal government. Beneficiaries of the Reformers Group Grant Support Program will be urged to use the money given to them judiciously in order to boost their businesses. The admonitions was given by speakers at the empowerment program organized by the group to support individuals in their various businesses. Here are the reports as presented from our studios.
Of support for grassroots entrepreneurship, 200 small-scale business owners across Osogbo and Olorunoda local government of Osun State have benefited from a grant powered by the Reformers Group in honor of former Osun State Governor and current Minister of Marine and Blue Economy Alhaji Gboyega Oyetola and Engineer Olaleko Badmus, the Executive Director of Marine and Operations. The initiative aimed at boosting small businesses and cushioning the effects of rising economic hardship saw each beneficiary receive financial assistance to support their trade. Many of the recipients, who were drawn from various parts of the two councils, expressed deep appreciation for the gesture, describing it as timely and life-saving. Speaking at the event, Engineer Olaleko Badmus, through Honorable Badamosi Abulubodi and Comrade Amitolu Shetu, stated that the intervention was born out of a deep commitment to supporting the vulnerable in society regardless of political or religious affiliation.
I will employ them to make maximum use of the money. They should not see it as what they call the national cake. They should make a good use of the money. They should put it into their trade. Because they should consider that a little amount of money goes a lot in business.
There's no amount of money that's small. It depends on the usage and those who have value for what they are doing.
The group founder, Mr. Moise Oluwakayode, as well as the local chairman, Mr. Akinlade Boluwatife, said the initiative is purely humanitarian, noting that it reflects the group's passion to uplift those who are struggling, especially in these difficult economic times. He maintained that the group will continue to identify with the less privileged and ensure support reaches the right people. They further promised that the grant support program will not be a one-off gesture, assuring that more interventions would follow in the months ahead.
Over the years, we have embarked on numerous projects aimed at addressing the present needs of our community.
We have been doing a lot of support to the community. We've been giving fuels to the bike men, nose masks, and many other things that we've been doing.
The beneficiaries were visibly elated, with many sharing their stories of hardship and how the grant had rekindled their hope. The recipients, Mrs. Sofiat Amuson and Ms.
Toby Akinloye, said the money will go a long way in restocking their shops. They said they had lost almost everything due to inflation, saying the grant has revived businesses.
The grant they gave us is to help us to boost our productivities in order to provide something to the environment.
I want to appreciate them for this opportunity. Indeed, it's a great one.
The event, which took place in Osogbo, was well attended by notable dignitaries, including politicians, religious leaders, and community stakeholders, who commended the initiative and called for more of such targeted interventions. With the rising cost of goods and services biting hard across the country, the Reformers Group's grant support has been hailed as a practical example of responsive philanthropy and leadership with emphasis.
Students of the Polytechnic Ibadan have trooped out en masse to protest the decision of Governor Seyi Makinde to rename the institution after one of his predecessors, late Dr. Victor Omololu Olunloyo. Hundreds of commuters plied the ever-busy Sango-Eleyele Road in Ibadan. The Oyo State capital was stranded as a result of the protest. Governor Makinde has few days ago renamed the Polytechnic Ibadan after the first Ibadan person to serve as the governor of Old Oyo State between October and December 1983. The students in the early hours of today blocked the entrance gates of the institution and the ever-busy Sango-Eleyele Road. This made many commuters, residents and travelers plying the route to be stranded, while some staff are also stranded as majority of them were unable to gain access to the institution. A delegation of Plateau government has visited the Emir of Zazazo, Alhaji Ahmed Bamali, over the killing of some travelers in the state. The delegation was led by Alhaji Muhammadu Aruna, the Emir of Wase local government area of the state. So recall that last month, hoodlums attacked and killed some travelers at Mugun community of Magu local government area of the state. The victims were said to be traveling from Zaria, Kaduna State to Kwan local government area in Plateau for a wedding ceremony, but missed their way and got to Mungum. Governor Caleb Mutfwang, who condemned the incident, described it as an act of criminality, while the police command in the state said it had arrested 22 suspects in connection with the unfortunate incident. The leader of the delegation, who spoke to newsmen in Jos, said the visit was to commiserate with the Emir of Zazazo and the families of the deceased. You are now welcome to our sports segment. Nigerians under 20 male team, the Flying Eagles, have converged again on Abuja, the country's capital, for their final phase of preparations for the CAF Wafo B under 20 Boys Cup, which will be played in Ghana this month. The tournament is set to be organized to foster regional collaboration and showcase emerging football talents across West Africa. The maiden edition in Accra, Ghana, will bring together 13 national under 20 teams from across WAFO zones A and B after ending their initial campaign abruptly due to the postponement of the tournament. The head coach of the team, Aliyu Zubairu, confirmed the resumption of the team after a new date was announced by the organizers. The team's camp in Abuja comprises some of the players that have helped the country pick the ticket to the 2025 Under-20 World Cup in Chile and a few new players. Nigeria are drawn in Group A alongside host nation Ghana and the Benin Republic, while Group B features Niger, Togo, Ivory Coast, and features Niger, Togo, Ivory Coast, and Burkina Faso, while the top two teams from each group will progress to the semi-finals. Host Ghana and Nigeria will face off in the first game of the tournament on the 10th this month, before the Flying Eagles face the Benin Republic 3 days later. Meanwhile, the Flying Eagles still have their biggest test ahead of them this year as they play in the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile from September 27th to October 19th. As tensions grow between Iran and the United Nations nuclear watchdog, Tehran says it cannot allow IAEA inspectors to visit nuclear sites bombed by the United States and Israel during the recent war. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Bagay said Iran cannot be expected to ensure the safety and security of the agency's inspectors when Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities were attacked. He also condemned Donald Trump's remarks in which the US president said Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei should be grateful that he did not order his assassination. According to him, such worthless and insulting remarks are 100% and absolutely rejected and condemned, as he hurts the feelings of millions of Iranians and Muslims both inside and outside Iran. He added that such comments will result in nothing but an increase in hatred and disgust towards US policies regarding the region and Muslims. Iran has threatened to halt cooperation with the IAEA, which Tehran blames for providing a justification for Israel's bombing camp. And that ends the major report on OSBC TV. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo. I am Olushola Egbodofo. Thanks for watching. Good night.